Hello and welcome to another episode of Snakes Territory. I'm Jesse Friedman alongside Jack Sommers. And if the Diamondbacks have gotten you down after their Sunday loss, the good news, Jack, is that there's a new hat available over at snakesterritoryshop.com. We're going to take a minute to show it off here on the front end. I don't know if anyone is actually going to be happy about this, Jack. But yeah, this is if you want a silver lining to what's happening with the Diamondbacks right now, that's about as good as we can do.
Yeah, this was an editorial decision on my part to lead off with the happy news of the new hat, which I ordered mine, and I can't wait to stick it on and model for you guys, just like Jesse, just like my good friend over here, who was lucky enough to get one first. It's just the coolest logo. And yes, I am pimping the merch.
Well, there's our commercial for you. We'll go ahead and jump into some actual baseball talk. Jack, the Diamondbacks had a shot to sweep the Boston Red Sox. They had a shot to pull within 3.5 games of that third NL wildcard spot, with the Mets losing once again on Sunday. But they were not able to do that. And suffice it to say, a whole lot of things went wrong for them in the seventh inning today.
Yeah, it was really strange. I mean, Tori had just got done talking so much to us about how much the defense had improved, how there were a lot of things that needed to be fixed with the defense early on, and things had finally started to fall in line the way he wanted to see them. And objectively, I think that it had. And through the first 6 innings, the defense looked great. They turned 3 double plays behind Ryan Nelson, and everything was tight. And then it just the seventh inning was just collectively one of the worst innings I've ever seen this team play.
It really was. Our good friend Alex Weiner tried to capture everything that went wrong in a tweet. So there was a hit by pitch, of course, that started the inning. Ryan Thompson hitting Trevor Story. Then there was a failed challenge, which, granted, wasn't exactly a problem on the field, but a call that the
It was a bad
Diamondbacks maybe.
challenge.
Yeah, it was a bad challenge. I think it was pretty obvious that it was a hit by pitch. The call was confirmed pretty quickly. There was, of course, the botched rundown play where the Diamondbacks easily had Trevor Story picked off, and then Locklear chased him back towards second base and just didn't toss the ball to Geraldo Perdomo fast enough, and so Trevor Story was safe. And then there was a ground ball that Jordan Lawlar kind of clanked. That one was not called an error, although I think it's a play he probably could have made. That created a first and second nobody out situation to start the inning. And then there was also a pitch timer violation by Ryan Thompson. There was an RBI single, which I guess was completely legit. But the big blow, Jack, was Jordan Lawlar later in the inning committing an actual error, which cost the Diamondbacks 2 runs after they had a chance to get out of that inning with the lead. It was, as you said, I mean, truly one of the worst innings of baseball that I have ever seen from this team.
And even that RBI base hit, I mean, that followed the pitch timer violation. I mean, the count went 1-1, and then he got the base hit. And even in between there was it didn't end up costing anything, but there was a ball that Gabriel Moreno clanked that
Yeah.
never hit the ground. I mean, it was, at least a foot or two off the ground. And I don't know how he clanked it. He was lucky that it didn't get all the way behind him. So, I mean, it was just all the way around, from the bad challenge to the hit by pitch to the bad challenge to the botched rundown to Jordan Lawlar's 2 misplays. Of course, the second one being the most costly. Thompson again with the pitch violation, Gabby dropping the ball. And it was funny, I could just see it. Like, I mean, I just turned around to Alex and I said, boy, are they tight. Like, not even halfway through it all, I said, something's wrong. They're like, you could just sense it. Like, you could see everyone just seizing up. It was the most bizarre thing. It actually would have been a great time for like Geraldo Perdomo to like call everybody together and calm everybody down, but I don't think that actually happened. Not the way it should have. So that 3-run inning, the momentum shifted. Lawlar did have an RBI single in the bottom half of the inning to tie it back up and kind of undo one of the runs that he allowed to come in, but it still never felt from that point forward that the D-backs are going to win that game. Taylor Rashi, ended up pitching a second inning, And after 7 consecutive scoreless innings, all of a sudden he gave up 3 runs. So that's the life of a reliever. Um, a lot of people were also asking about Andrew Saalfrank. So Torrey explained that he had Saalfrank warming up. Had they taken the lead in the bottom of the eighth, I think that he would have put Saalfrank in. And then subsequent to that, he wanted to hold Saalfrank back in case the game went extra innings. So that was Torrey's explanation, which was all fine and good. The only thing that was a little odd to me is it seemed like he threw a lot of pitches in the bullpen. Like he looked like he was warmed up, then he kind of stopped throwing, and then he started throwing a few more pitches. So that was a little odd, but that was Torrey's explanation on that, in case anyone was wondering.
Of course, Jack, looking at that horrendous seventh inning, you can't help but notice that two of the guys who made the bulk of the mistakes there were Jordan Lawlar and Tyler Locklear, a pair of players who are very inexperienced, right? Maybe 100 or so plate appearances in the big leagues for both of those guys, and you can see that, right? I mean, you can see on the field that there's just a lack of experience there. I think you give those guys another year or two in the big leagues, and those are plays that maybe they feel more comfortable making. But this is the reality of this team right now, Jack. I mean, as long as the Diamondbacks are committed to trying to give those guys opportunities at this level, it's there could be some ugly aspects to that, especially as this race tightens up and as the Diamondbacks are a little bit more relevant in this wild card conversation. Maybe there's a consideration here of like, do you pull back on one or both of those guys a little bit, given some of the struggles that we've seen offensively and more so defensively in a game like this?
I mean, there's issues here, obviously, with their development. Torrey said they're young, but they're experienced. Like they've played enough to know better, and they've been drilled enough to know better than to make the mistakes that they made today. So that was his position. I mean, he was not. The tone has shifted in the way Torrey's talking about these things.
Hmm.
That's for certain. He's definitely taking, I don't want to say harsh, but certainly a harder line when it comes to these things and making less allowance or excuses for the players than maybe he would in the past. With regards to Locklear, I mean, we have to call what we're seeing, which is a fella that's not looking great defensively and looking absolutely woeful at the plate. With Jordan Lawlar, um, he'd looked pretty good defensively before today. Today was the first day that, since his recall that he struggled. He actually had another error in the ninth inning.
Yeah.
So it definitely didn't look good. Somebody pointed out on Twitter, it might have been El Gallo who frequents our chats here, but I'm not 100% sure if it was him. There were a lot of really interesting Twitter comments today. I thought of a lot of thoughtful ones. And what he pointed out was, hey, look what we thought about Blaze last year, because of all the defensive struggles that he was making early in the year and the amount of criticism he came under for his poor defense the first month or two of the season. And look where he's at now. So I thought it was a good reminder that these are still young, developing players, and they could get better. I think I'd have a lot more confidence in Lawler's defense to improve than Locklear's.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there is, given what we've seen from Lawler at the plate here recently. You mentioned he had the RBI single in this game. I think the quality of the at bat for him has really improved here over the last few days. And with Lawler, you're not talking about that many games. I mean, we're still at 15 games this season total that Lawler has played, 45 plate appearances. It's a pretty microscopic sample size still. With Tyler Locklear, it's still a small sample, but it's not that small. It's 31 games, 116 plate appearances. And as you said, he has a 529 OPS. He has 43 strikeouts in those 116 plate appearances. That coupled with the defense at first base not looking so great at times, it's a little bit tough to imagine this being a player that you really want playing every day as you're trying to find a way back into this wild card thing. So I think with Lawler, Jack, it pretty clearly makes sense in my mind to just ride it out at least for a little while longer. Maybe he can get on a bit of a run here offensively. But with Locklear, is there an end of the road here where maybe it makes sense to send him back down and get him some more opportunities in AAA?
Possibly. The questions, of course, of who should come up and replace him were prevalent today on social media as well. Tim Tawa is back and playing for the Reno Aces. Again, he's not in the lineup tonight, I don't believe. Ivan Melendez is at first. But Tawa played 2 games. He's 1 for 9 since coming back. He had a rib injury. He missed significant time, well over a month, almost 6 weeks, I think, with a pretty serious rib injury. I think it's notable that when he went down after a horrific stretch, um, from like a 5 6 week stretch where he didn't hit at all, and his OPS went from 748 to like 616 in the majors. He went down to Reno and he went like 3 for 38 before he got hurt. So he's really struggled at the plate. I think we know that Tim's very athletic and more than capable of playing the defensive side of it, but I don't know that he would hit any better than Locklear if he came up at this
Yeah.
point. Whatever was broken still doesn't appear to be fixed. And with all that time off and lack of playing time, I think he would, probably need to at least play out this last week with Reno, before he play at least 3 or 4 more games before you would want to bring him back up. And Ivan Melendez, I mean, he's doing pretty well for Reno, so I could see them giving him a shot. But do they want to add him to the 40-man roster now? Is he a guy that they want to protect from the Rule 5? There's all these other questions out there. And then there's the face factor. I mean, the D-backs traded for Locklear. They're going to want to see it through and give him as much time as possible. And they're always more patient than we are when it comes to these types of situations. So it's difficult for a team to trade for a guy and then cut bait. But they've done it with the relievers that they traded for and sent them out pretty quickly. So I think that a case is made here that, they should be comfortable enough at this point to do the same with Locklear if they think they have a better replacement.
I wonder. I mean, yeah, the roster move itself, I think, is a little tricky to pinpoint right now. But I wonder how willing they would be to have James McCann start playing significant time at first base. Now that you have 3 catchers on the roster, I think you could do that from a roster standpoint. You wouldn't be in trouble with at the catching position if you did, but. I don't know if you have a read on that, Jack, of how willing the D-backs would be to go in that direction. Obviously, McCann has hit pretty well this year. He has a WRC plus of 105 entering today, so you feel decent about what he could give you offensively.
Do the Diamondbacks consider Adrian Del Castillo a catcher still? He's caught 2 games since he come up, I think.
Yeah,
And so I don't think that they feel that he is. If they felt that he was still a viable option at catcher and not somebody they had to stick in there just to give somebody a day off because McCann had a sore back and Gabby needed a break. I mean, his last game caught was more or less that situation. We just didn't know McCann had the sore back at that point. So I don't think they view him as a catcher any longer. Otherwise, he would have caught a few more games than he has.
I mean, I guess at that point you could say, well, maybe McCann still serves as your primary backup, but then the days that Gabby Moreno is in the lineup, which is going to be most of them, maybe McCann could play first base on some of those days. But also if McCann is doing some catching, then you don't necessarily want to have him in there every single day.
Yeah, that's not really feasible. I mean, he's not 25; he's in his 30s, so I don't think that'll work either. I mean, if anything, they should consider giving more ground balls to Del Castillo at first base. I mean, he's hit a little bit better, not great, a lot of singles, not really hitting for much power, but they probably should take a look at giving him more, ground balls at first base and stick him over there.
Yeah.
That's what I would do, but.
I mean, if the issues are on defense, then I don't know how much better they're going to feel about Adrian Del Castillo with as little experience as he has over at first base. So we've got more to talk about though with this game and with this weekend series as a whole. We'll take a look at the standings, which despite the loss on Sunday are still looking pretty okay for the D-backs, at least given the circumstances. We'll talk about all of that on the other side of this break. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first-time touchdowns scored to anytime TD props, every snap is loaded with opportunity. New customers bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, plus score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet, plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Well, Jack, it was not all bad for the Diamondbacks on Sunday against the Red Sox. They did have a 3-1 lead, and they appeared to be in position to possibly win this game, but they were not able to close the deal. But yes, as far as other contributors in this one, Ryan Nelson did pitch really well. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Jack, that is now a stretch of 6 consecutive quality starts by Diamondbacks starting pitchers. They have a 1.98 ERA as a staff in that span. Pretty impressive stuff right now from the starting rotation.
Yeah, and Nelson, I think he was channeling a little bit of Zach Gallen, where he expressed a lot of dissatisfaction with his outing and how he was throwing the ball and his command of his pitches. And he did induce double plays in 3 straight innings, and he felt like his defense bailed him out. So it was just kind of funny. I mean, you put up that pitching line, and he just was objectively dissatisfied with his own performance, and it just was shades of last year. We had lots of discussions like that with Zach. I thought it was kind of funny.
That does sound very, very Zach-esque. Gabriel Moreno went 2 for 4 in the game with a double and a walk. Corbin Carroll had a good game, good series overall. He continues to get on base a whole lot for the Diamondbacks. A 24-game on-base streak for him right now. His on-base percentage in that span is just over 400 at 404. So impressive stuff right now from Corbin Carroll. And I will also mention, Jack, that Blaze Alexander nearly made another incredible play in this game, moving to his right from second base, sort of Derek Jeter-esque. The runner was safe at first base, but by a pretty slim margin. If he had made the play, what a wild weekend of defense it would have been from Blaze Alexander, gunning out a guy at home in a key spot on Friday from center field, robbing a home run on Saturday in left field, and then nearly making that play on Sunday at second base. Pretty impressive right now what Blaze is doing on really both sides of the ball.
And the fact that, he's doing it in all these different positions. I mean, center field, left field, and second base.
Yeah.
I think one other point we need to mention is Ketel Marte was hitless in the series. So I thought that, he would start collecting a few hits. If you remember, we talked the other night, because he had taken some walks, but that didn't work out. So my little prediction there was an abject failure. But he was 0 for 4 today, I believe. And he's in a bit of a slump. There's just no other way to express that. So they really need Ketel Marte to get his bat going again.
Unfortunately for him, no more games against the Texas Rangers this season. I believe his last 4 home runs now have come against the Texas Rangers. Looking at some takeaways from the series as a whole here, Jack. I mentioned the starting pitching. Eduardo Rodriguez, he was really good in that Friday game, 6 innings, 1 run. We talked about his outing in our last show. But Brandon Pfaadt, also really, really good in the game on Saturday. 6 innings, 1 run, no walks, 7 strikeouts. continuing a bizarre trend for him, Jack, where Brandon Pfaadt has been actually very solid for the Diamondbacks at home this year and kind of a complete train wreck on the road. I don't know if you have any insight into why this is happening.
No. The short answer to that is no, I do not have insight as to why that is happening. And if you ask them, if you ask Torrey, if you ask the pitcher, they're not going to give you any good insights. I don't think they know. For some reason, it just happens. There are some years where guys are really good one way or the other. I think there was one year where Zach struggled at home and was really good on the road. There was another year where he was really good at home and bad on the road. I think it's mostly just kind of fluky. I mean, if it persisted over, like, say, a 2-year period or a 3-year period, and it wasn't a major ballpark factor involved that would dictate that, then it could be attributed to just being comfortable, sleeping in your own bed, your own routine, all of that stuff. But you'd really have to see that play out over at least a 2 to 3 year sample before you can say, that's it. Because the odds are just as likely that it flips around the other way.
Yeah, well, on that note, I just looked at his numbers from the past 2 years, and sure enough, he's been better on the road in both 2024 and 2023. But this year, it is wild. I mean, this is no small difference. A 3.50 ERA in 15 starts at Chase Field versus a 7.13 ERA in 14 starts on the road. The difference in home runs there is massive as well. 19 of his 22 home runs allowed this season have come on the road. So bizarre numbers, but you're right. I think
Also,
it's probably more of a fluke than anything else.
That home ERA includes that one outing where he gave up 8 runs without recording an out.
Yeah, that makes it even all the more wild.
I mean, I think if you take that out, it's like 2.5 or something, 2.6.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. Looking at the standings here, Jack, the Diamondbacks, not in a, it's not as bad as you would think after losing a very winnable game on Sunday. The New York Mets did the D-backs a favor and also lost their game on Sunday. Giants lost as well. So this is where we're at going into this 3-game series with San Francisco. The Diamondbacks are 4.5 behind the Mets. They are now 6.5, though, behind the San Diego Padres as the Padres bounce back from their Friday loss to the Rockies and won the final 2 games of that series.
Yeah, so if the D-backs go 14-4 over their final 18 games, they need the Mets to go 9-10 or worse. And if they're going 14-4, we're going to go out on a limb and say that they did pretty well in these 6 head-to-head games against the Giants.
Yeah, right. So at that point, you figure if you go 14-4 and the Mets go 9-10 or worse, then you're basically in. I think you can assume that you maintain your position and you're able to pass the Reds and stay ahead of the Cardinals there as well. So, but that's a tall ask, Jack. I mean, that is the Diamondbacks. Unlike some of these other teams, they don't play any super subpar teams the rest of the way. The Minnesota Twins this weekend, or next weekend, I guess I should say, depending on when you're listening to this, that's really the only subpar team that the Diamondbacks are facing from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is what it is, right? This is where they're at. They still can't put together a win streak over 5 games.
Yeah.
And that's just, I don't think that's going to change. But I could be wrong. We've seen it. It's funny, Bob Nightingale had tweeted out that the Mets have a 93.4% chance to make the playoffs after the D-backs and Giants lost today. And using our D-backs on SI account, I tweeted back to him, with 6 games remaining last year, the D-backs had a 91.9% chance to make the playoffs with 6 games remaining. So weird stuff can happen in this league. And, so we're still in that territory, or as a good friend of ours often says, we're still in that space.
Yeah. I keep going back to a comment that you made maybe a month or more ago on this show, Jack, which is that can this Diamondbacks bullpen ever be stable enough to allow this team to go on a run? And to its credit, I mean, the D-backs have played good baseball overall here over the last month and a half, and the bullpen improving has been a part of that. At the same time, I mean, you look at the games that the Diamondbacks have lost here recently. Obviously, the defense was a huge factor in this game on Sunday, but the bullpen wasn't great either. I mean, I don't know if Ryan Thompson totally dominated. Obviously, Taylor Rashi, got nicked up a little bit there in the ninth inning. And then you look at the Diamondbacks' most recent loss before that. It was a week ago on Monday where they had the Rangers down to their final out, and then they wind up losing that game in 10 innings. And the game before that, not a game you'd necessarily pin on the bullpen. I mean, the Diamondbacks were down to the Dodgers last Sunday and then made a valiant comeback attempt. They wind up losing on a walk-off home run to Will Smith. But you just kind of keep going further and further back. And I mean, all of these games are pretty close. I mean, the last game the Diamondbacks lost by more than 2 runs was August 24th when they lost to the Reds 6-1. Other than that, all these games are pretty close, and the bullpen has, at times been a factor in the D-backs losing some of these.
Yeah, I mean, this is where they're at. These are the guys they have, and we've kind of figured that this would be the way it is. But tomorrow's another day. They're going to go and play the Giants, and we'll see what happens.
There you go. Well, we are going to preview that series against the San Francisco Giants, and we will do that on the other side of this break.
We are longtime fans of Omaha Steaks, and I am drooling looking at the website right now, featuring USDA certified tender steaks, and also during their Red Hot Sale event going on right now this fall, 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, for the FT fam, an extra $35 off with promo code FOUL at checkout. You've been a big fan of Omaha Steaks since your early days as a pro.
Brings me back to my low A-ball days, because we used to survive on this. We get a big order at the beginning of the year, cook them on our little electric grill, can of peas, some mac and cheese. That was dinner for 4. We survived off Omaha Steaks, and it still has a special place in my heart.
You thrived.
Well,
you guys ate like kings.
Yeah.
That's special. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot Sale event. And for an extra $35 off, promo code FOUL at checkout. 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code FOUL at checkout. See site for details. Dig in.
Well, Jack, the Diamondbacks playing well recently has sort of breathed new life into this next series against the San Francisco Giants. It feels actually fairly significant. The Giants come in 72-71. They just lost back-to-back games. However, they have still won 11 of their last 14. They've been one of the hottest teams in baseball here for a while. And the D-backs are getting a rough patch of the San Francisco Giants rotation. The pitching matchups you can see here. It is Nabil Crismatt against Logan Webb on Monday, and then it's Zach Gallen and Robbie Ray on Tuesday, and then Erod and Seymour going in the finale on Wednesday. So this is going to be a tall task here, Jack, especially given how well this Giants team has played recently.
It absolutely will be. It's funny, I was looking up Logan Webb's, recent. If you remember the last time they faced him on June 30th, the D-backs beat him. And I just remember a very angry and annoyed Logan Webb. Was not very happy with some of the plays behind him in that game. And he ended up giving up 3 runs in 6 1/3, got bounced out in the 7th inning. And the D-backs ended up winning that game 4-2. Nabil Crismatt, I do want to talk about him just for a moment. I had a really great interview with him today. Actually, there's going to be an article coming up on Arizona Diamondbacks on SI tomorrow. My colleague, Alex D'Agostino, is actually writing it up. But I can preview a couple of the cool little tidbits to our readers about some of the things that we talked about. He was 15 years old when he left Colombia and went to the Dominican Republic to try to establish himself as a prospect and get signed. And it was over a year later, when he was over 16 years old, that he was actually signed by the New York Mets back in 2011. So that was pretty cool right there, just understanding that. And I asked him, I said, do a lot of players from Colombia, do they try to do that? And he said, yeah, it's not that unusual, actually, for players at that age to go to the Dominican and see if they can latch on there to get signed. And then he went through his entire winding travail through multiple organizations and how many times he was DFA'd. But we talked about, his stuff and the type of pitcher he is. And he very much, said that he's much more comfortable and feels like he's himself as a starter. And
Hmm.
clearly his repertoire with the, changeup heavy repertoire with, sinker and curve and slider. I mean, he's built to start, not for the 1 inning sprint. And so far, it's been working out really great. I also asked him, and this is the last little tidbit I'll throw out there, who were some of the guys that he modeled himself after, or he felt like that he, wanted to be like as a pitcher. And he gave me 3 names. The first one was Kyle Hendricks
Mm.
of the Cubs, which, people kind of remember the end of Kyle Hendricks' career, but don't forget how good he was during his better years. I mean, he was just a fantastic example of how to do it by changing speeds and location and
Oh yeah.
movement. So, if any of our listeners aren't familiar, go look up Kyle Hendricks' peak. He was really good. The second one, of course, he said was Greg Maddux, which is almost a cliche to use Greg Maddux in that context, but he did. And then the third, he said, was Johan Santana, who,
Oh
won a
wow.
few Cy Youngs. He said, yeah, he was left-handed, but he was changeup heavy. I mean, Johan Santana essentially had a Hall of Fame career based on a changeup.
Yeah.
So these are the guys that were in his mind, and that really gave me a window of when he said, I feel like I'm more myself when I'm starting. And then I listened to him talk about the pitchers that he modeled himself after. It's really clear that that's who he believes he is. So hopefully for him, he'll be able to continue to stay in the rotation. With Anthony DeSclafani back, there's maybe things are going to get a little bit crowded for now. DeSclafani is going to work out of the bullpen as a bulk reliever. Torey Lovello said he was activated today, but didn't get in the game. So for at least for this start, Krismount's still in the rotation, and then we'll see what happens going forward.
On paper, Logan Webb against Nabil Krismont doesn't necessarily sound like a marquee pitching matchup, but I'm glad you're giving us all this perspective on Krismont, Jack, because he really has been just a great story for the D-backs here over the last few weeks. Is pitching really, really well. We'll see if he's able to continue that in San Francisco. I mentioned the Giants have played a lot better as of late. A lot of it, Jack, is because of their offense. It's just been really, really good here lately. Rafael Devers is up to a 136 WRC plus since the trade. That number has come up a whole lot here recently because he did not start off well with San Francisco. Willy Adames also is up to a 108 WRC plus. Looked like that was going to be, maybe this was the start of a disaster contract. Obviously, there's still many years to go, so we'll see what that looks like. But at least for this year, Willy Adames has had a pretty decent year. He's at 3.4 Fangraphs wins above replacement, 108 WRC plus, as I mentioned, playing shortstop every day. So he has been a good player for San Francisco. And then Matt Chapman is doing his thing as well, leading the way with 3.7 WAR and 20 home runs, despite playing in just 109 games so far. So it's a pretty well-rounded offense, Jack. I think a lot of times we think of the Giants, we're thinking of the rotation and we're thinking of the bullpen, but this offense has really come alive here recently.
I mean, Giants offense being underrated is almost a default position. That ballpark is so pitcher friendly. It almost always suppresses the raw numbers.
Yeah.
And if you use like OPS plus or WRC plus, it's really surprising how in some years people just assumed they had a bad offense and they were at least league average. Even during their World Series runs. I mean, they had some years where, like the first of those 3 World Series in 2010, the Giants did have a pretty below average offense, and it was all pitching. But in 2012 and 14, their offense was above National League average both of those years. They were good offenses.
Huh.
It's just people don't often reference the park adjusted stats, but it really is important to do that sometimes.
Dominic Smith has also been a big part of that for them. Mid-season pickup has filled in really nicely at first base. He has a 114 WRC plus. So it's a well-rounded group. The Diamondbacks will certainly have their hands full, and these games mean a whole lot given where the Diamondbacks are in the standings at this point. So our next show, we believe, will be coming on Wednesday after the finale of that series is played. So we'll be back then to give you all of our thoughts on what happens in San Francisco. But that is all that we have for this edition of Snakes Territory. Really appreciate all of you being here with us. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Drop a like on this video. Leave a comment for us here. We always love to hear from you. You can find us over on social media. I am at Jesse and Friedman on X. Jack is at ShoeWizard59, and our show is at Snakes Territory. You can find Jack's writing over at si.com/MLB/Diamondbacks. A lot of great stuff over there, including that Nabil Krismat article that's coming from his colleague Alex D'Agostino. And then also, as we mentioned from the top of the show, be sure to check out snakesterritoryshop.com because, I mean, who wouldn't want a hat as beautiful as that one? You can get it in multiple colors too. It's not only available in the black. You can get it in white. You can get it in gray. There's also a trucker hat version of it as well. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's a great way to support the show. We really appreciate all of you doing that. Jack, any final thoughts here before we say goodbye?
I would say enjoy being in a race for as long as you can be. It's never fun to be out of the race and eliminated. And as long as there's a chance, just ride the wave and enjoy each win as best you can.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you again to all of you for being with us. We'll be back with another episode on Wednesday after this Giant series concludes, and we're looking forward to seeing you all then. So once again, thank you all for being here with us, and we'll be back with another episode on Wednesday evening.